As air travel entered the jet age and jet-powered aircraft appeared one after another, people began to think about how they could make air transport even faster. In Europe, it was finally in 1962 when the French and the British announced that they would begin designing a supersonic passenger aircraft capable of carrying around 100 passengers. Since the French already had extensive experience in delta-wing construction through the Dassault Mirage fighters, the basic aerodynamic form of the aircraft began to take shape. The French were responsible for most of the fuselage and the delta wings, while the British built the engines, the nose section, the vertical stabilizer, and the landing gear. Even during the design phase, it became clear that the new aircraft would be extraordinarily expensive. They expected that at least 100 aircraft would be purchased by airlines around the world. But then the oil crisis struck, and by that time, it had also become clear that slower but carrying more passengers was better business than faster with fewer. The Boeing 747 and the McDonnell Douglas DC-10 were much slower, but could carry twice as many passengers. Eventually, a 62-meter-long and 25-meter-wide aircraft was born, a jet with a slightly curved fuselage. Passengers sitting in the rearmost row could see that those in the middle were slightly higher, while those in the front sat a little lower, a feature developed through wind tunnel testing. The fuselage cross-section was oval because this shape tolerated heat expansion better than a circular one. The Concorde's empty weight was 78 tons, and engineers defined its maximum takeoff weight at 185 tons. The prototype Concorde rolled out of the Toulouse Assembly Hall in 1967. Its first flight took place in March 1969. Just 3 months after its Soviet rival, the Tupolev Tu-144, had taken to the air. The aircraft underwent a total of 5,000 hours of testing, setting a record. Its first supersonic test flight was completed in October 1969. The Concorde did not need to use its afterburners continuously at high altitude to maintain Mach 2 cruise. Its intake system, the air inlet and variable geometry intake ramp, was a special development. Automatic controls adjusted the airflow for each speed regime to ensure optimal compression and to prevent compressor stall. Air entered through several ducts, and by using ram pressure, the various airflow streams mixed with the exhaust gases inside the jet pipe, partly drawing additional flow over the upper surface of the wing. Without this system, the aircraft would have been in serious trouble, as it would have needed to use afterburner continuously throughout the entire 6,000-kilometer journey. Flying slowly was not easy for the Concorde. The approach phase was performed at an 18-degree angle of attack, since its delta wings had no flaps. It landed at about 300 kilometers per hour, and during takeoff, accelerated along the runway at 350 to 380 kilometers per hour, much higher speeds than any subsonic jet of its time. For deceleration, it used thrust reversers, and a key role was played by the visor, the drooping nose section that primarily improved the pilot's forward visibility. For takeoff, the nose could be lowered to a specific angle, and for landing, to an even greater one. At high altitude, and above twice the speed of sound, it was raised back into its streamlined position, improving aerodynamics and shielding the cockpit from heat. During Concorde's landing, the vapor phenomenon visible above the wings was caused by low-pressure vortex systems forming as the delta wings operated at a high angle of attack, where the air temperature dropped below the dew point and moisture condensed. This spectacular condensation cloud became one of the aircraft's most iconic and defining aerodynamic features, vividly illustrating Concorde's exceptionally advanced wing geometry and the power of supersonic aerodynamics. Interestingly, as the aircraft climbed, it first began to cool, then to warm up again. Cabin air conditioning was achieved using the cold fuel inside the wings, circulating it through heat exchangers. The aircraft was equipped with 13 fuel tanks, 6 in each wing and 1 in the tail below the vertical stabilizer. Because the Concorde's center of gravity constantly shifted as its speed increased, it was the flight engineer's duty to manually pump fuel between tanks. Automatic fuel balancing did not yet exist at the time. The supersonic types were officially introduced to the public at the 1973 Paris Air Show at Le Bourget Airport. But after the crash of the Tu-144 there, interest in such aircraft declined sharply. In the end, only Air France and British Airways put the Concorde into commercial service, operating it for more than 2 decades. The first 2 scheduled flights took place in January 1976, one from London to Bahrain and another from Paris to Rio de Janeiro. Route approvals were extremely difficult to obtain, as many countries protested against the noise pollution caused by supersonic flight, especially the United States. In total, 20 Concordes were built, and out of the production aircraft, Air France and British Airways each operated 7 examples. Typically, the Concorde flew on the London-New York and Paris-New York routes, cutting the flight time between the 2 cities in half. The London-New York sector was usually completed in 3 hours and 15 minutes, while the speed record between the 2 cities, held by Concorde, was 2 hours and 53 minutes. Between 1970 and 2003, the aircraft set 16 world records. Because of the time difference, passengers arriving in New York from London actually landed 1 hour earlier than their departure time. The legendary aircraft survived 2 decades without a major accident. In July 2000, the Paris-New York flight suffered a fatal crash. During takeoff, one of the main landing gear tires struck a piece of metal debris that had fallen from a preceding aircraft. The tire burst, and fragments punctured a fuel tank, causing fuel to spill and ignite. The pilots attempted to divert and land at nearby Le Bourget Airport, but despite their heroic efforts, they were unsuccessful. After the accident, the entire fleet was grounded for a period. When the aircraft type was recertified, it was already clear that its return would not be long-term. In 2001, the fuel tanks were reinforced with Kevlar, and the cabin interior was refurbished. Yet in April 2003, both operators announced the type's permanent retirement. When the news broke, demand for the remaining flights soared. In May 2003, Air France retired its Concordes first, followed a few months later by British Airways. The last Concorde, flying in British Airways colors, took off from New York JFK on October 24, 2003. All aircraft taxiing at JFK that day requested to hold position so they could watch and salute the supersonic jet's final departure.
Best of wishes, JetBlue.
Thank you.
And from the old cactus turret.
Grand American 699 Andy. Yes, sir.
Is there a chance we can hold here at Bravo or anywhere in this area if we're not blocking anybody? Hey, ground, can we, American 59 Heavy, can we hold here for a second, troubleshoot something?
Yep.
We don't need to pretend.
Speedbird 2, on behalf of the controllers in Kennedy Tower, in particular, we want to pass on to Captain Bannister. We hope you have a wonderful flight. And over the years, it's been a privilege and an honor to get to work you all every day in and out of JFK, and you certainly will be missed. We hope you have a wonderful farewell flight, and Godspeed, and we will be wishing you all the best as you fly over to London.
But I'ma keep it till the lights go.
Viva Concorde 2, having your departure. Good morning. Radar contact, climb and maintain 13,000.
Viva 2, climb maintain 13,000.
Viva Concorde 2, I was the first controller to give you the approach clearance and the first flight into Kennedy. So I'd like to thank you and all the crews that have worked the flight through the years for your professionalism. We'd like to wish you good luck as you soar towards the sunshine there to the east. And we just do appreciate all the fine professionalism and hard work that you guys put in through the years. And it was a pleasure for us to serve you.
The last flight, under the call sign Speedbird Concorde 2, landed at Heathrow for the final time.
Viva 2 with you, flight path intercept.
Speedbird 2, good afternoon, continue approach on 27 right, wind 360 degrees 7 knots. Still number 2, number 1 to the 1 mile final. Traffic information, police helicopter operating right hand side of the runway or remain north at all times.
Wind check, Speedbird 2.
202, the wind is 350 degrees at 8 knots. Speedbird 2, for the last time, you're clear to land on 27 right, the wind is 350 degrees at 8 knots.
Speedbird 2, clear to land.
Speedbird 2, first left turn, we've all enjoyed you over the years from ATC. Best wishes, first 121.19, bye-bye.
121.9 and likewise. Thanks a lot, bye.
Ultimately, with 250,000 total flight hours and 27 years of service, the Concorde became one of the most iconic and defining aircraft in aviation history.